All right, guys, Wes here. Welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to talk about Marvel's Wolverine for the PlayStation 5. As you guys know, Wolverine is one of the most popular and iconic superheroes of all time. And ever since Hugh Jackman brought him to life on the big screen, even the most casual of comic book fans have been very well aware of him. Despite Wolverine's popularity in the mainstream, there have been only a handful of video games to portray him in a way that fans could call accurate. And it's been over a decade since the last solo Wolverine game was released. Yes, that's right. The last solo Wolverine game was X-Men Origins Wolverine, which of course launched all the way back in 2009 and was a way better portrayal than the movie it was based on. But since the movie tie-in games and Marvel kind of fell out of style during the 2010s for reasons I'm still not entirely clear on, we have all been patiently waiting for an opportunity to play as Logan again, and thankfully Insomniac Games has been working on a new addition to their Marvel saga starring the Claude Canadian, but sadly we still have no official idea where it's at. So in this video I'm going to talk about everything that we know about Insomniac's Wolverine for the PlayStation 5, including when I think it's going to be revealed and released. I'm also going to talk about all of the leaks we have so far, as well as maybe when we can get to the bottom of why both Sony and Insomniac have been so hesitant to talk about it since the reveal almost 2 years ago. Also, guys, real quick, I'm giving away a PlayStation 5 for 120,000 subscribers. I've given away 7 PS5 so far, so if you guys want a chance to win a PS5 for yourself, all you have to do is subscribe, comment your Twitter handle or your Discord, and then tweet me proof that you're subscribed. I've got the full details in the pinned comment. So let's go ahead and set the stage. In case you were somehow unaware, Wolverine was announced on the same exact day as Spider-Man 2 back in 2021 during PlayStation's September showcase, and is being developed by Insomniac Games, although it's believed that it's being worked on by a B team within the studio, while the A team is hard at work on the new Spider-Man. The game will be set in the same universe as Insomniac Spider-Man games and is reportedly being led by the same creative team behind Spider-Man Miles Morales. Very little official information has been released about Marvel's Wolverine, and for that reason we don't have a release window for it yet, but with Spider-Man 2 right around the corner releasing in fall of 2023, many of us were expecting to hear something about it at the PlayStation showcase that happened in late May. Well, unfortunately we were all out of luck, and if I might add, the PlayStation showcase was pretty underwhelming as a whole, and I know I'm not the only one who thought that. Given how much stock Sony puts in their first-party studios, I really thought we would see some major announcements at that event, but by the time it wrapped up, we really hadn't learned anything new about any first-party game other than a few minutes of Spider-Man 2 gameplay that we all love to watch. There was no news regarding Last of Us factions, no news on God of War Ragnarok DLC, granted that's just copium. There was no information regarding Cory Barlog's next project, and of course no Ghost of Tsushima 2 or a single PC port announcement. Yes, here's hoping we still get Bloodborne remastered, but the biggest thing that we didn't get to see was Marvel's Wolverine. Granted, it does make sense that they didn't want to outshine Spider-Man 2, but I mean, if you look at the event back in September of 2021, that PlayStation showcase was insanely hyped. We got God of War Ragnarok, the first ever trailer, we got Marvel's Spider-Man 2 and Marvel's Wolverine all in the same event. The PlayStation showcase that Sony hyped up was not the event that we got. Now, this leads us to believe that there's going to be something else happening at the end of the year, but we'll talk about that in just a bit. Looking through the tweets of various trusted industry insiders, it seems like Sony was originally planning on showing a lot more first-party material at this showcase, but obviously that didn't happen, and nobody seems to have any idea as to why. And I know a lot of people are probably tired of hearing about industry insiders and whatnot, but I'm mainly confused more than anything else. The insiders were correct about there being a PlayStation showcase, and many of them were even correct about the exact date as well as the games in it. However, all of them also seemed to think that the event was going to contain way more than it actually did, so it's just kind of hard to know what to think anymore. Did all of the insiders just randomly correctly guess May 24th, or were they told May 24th by a reliable source? And if they were told May 24th by someone reliable, how are they so wrong about the games shown? That being said, there are a ton of leaks regarding Marvel's Wolverine to talk about, and I think they're all worth going over because it gives us a good and a pretty realistic idea of what the game is going to be like. Well, according to various sources, Insomniac's Wolverine is going to be gritty, bloody, and an M-rated action game set within the Spider-Man continuity with a new version of the character that we haven't seen in the comics, movies, or TV shows before, meaning Insomniac will be giving the character a new backstory and a storyline just like they did for Peter Parker and Miles Morales. The gameplay will not be open world, but rather a semi-open world linear game similar to the new style of God of War that we got with the 2018 game, where each section of the game has a set start and end point, but there will be plenty of room for treasure hunting and secret paths to encourage exploration and multiple playthroughs. The combat will be extremely gory, likely similar to X-Men Origins. Insomniac is really concerned about doing the character justice, and making his claws feel like they're razor sharp weapons like they are in the lore only makes sense. The statement from the PlayStation blog says this, and I quote, "Marvel's Wolverine is a standalone game being directed by Brian Horton, the creative director, and Cameron Christian, a game director who recently led the creative efforts on Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales, a game we're extremely proud of at Insomniac. In the vein of our Spider-Man games, our goal is to not only respect the DNA of what makes the character so popular, but also look for opportunities to make it feel fresh and truly reflect the Insomniac spirit. Even though Marvel's Wolverine is still very early in development, from what I've seen of it is an emotional narrative and cutting-edge gameplay, see what I did there, the team is already creating something truly special. The only official information we have about the game thus far comes from the short CGI trailer that we got in September of 2021, and like I said, other than that, we have nothing to go off of, which is pretty strange when you consider how much Sony likes to hype up their first-party games, as well as how rare it is for them to start hyping a game when it's still so far from completion. Now, generally speaking, Sony doesn't reveal a game until it's less than 2 years from release, with the notable exception of Last of Us 2, so it's a little strange for a Wolverine game to be revealed and everything go radio silent for so long. So when is this game coming out? Well, according to the leaks that went over some of the gameplay details, Insomniac is targeting a 2024 release window, likely near the holiday season later in the year. That way they could space out Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine's release dates so they don't overlap too much, but also ride on the high of the holiday sales that always boost the numbers in the winter quarter. Now the question is, how far along is the game in development? Well, assuming it was in early production at the time of the CGI trailer that was shown off during September of 2021, it's safe to assume that the game is still roughly a year or two away. Since Wolverine is an open world game, it's probably not going to take as long to develop as Spider-Man 1 or 2, but Insomniac does like to take their time with their projects, and games in general take a long time to develop these days. I think a 4-year development cycle is realistic for a game like this, but since most things get delayed nowadays anyway, it's probably safe to say that Wolverine will be in the oven for roughly 5 years before launching. This would mean that the game is probably more than likely going to launch in 2025 rather than 2024, but since Sony seems reluctant to tell us anything about what their first-party studios are up to, it's really hard to say. Now, one thing that is worth mentioning is that Marvel's Wolverine is not going to be an open-world game, which is going to be a little bit different for Insomniac, but whenever you consider how well they were able to make the gorgeous and amazing Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart that had like open-world segments to the game, I am totally down to see what a Wolverine game is going to look like. They've got the technology to make the game gorgeous, and they know a little bit about what it takes to make a superhero game, which is why I think they're going to knock this game out the park. Like I said though, the leaks that talked about the gameplay also said the game was targeting a late 2024 release date, but at the end of the day, I just don't know how much I trust insiders anymore after they're so wrong about the PlayStation Showcase. Part of the reason why the PlayStation Showcase was so underwhelming because we're expecting things like Last of Us Factions, or at the very least for them to give updates about what they're working on with their first-party studios. The first-party studios that did show up at the PlayStation Showcase pretty much only showed CGI trailers. In the weeks leading up to the event, insiders were hyping up tons of first-party Sony content, and that obviously wasn't there. So even if insiders say that Wolverine is coming out next year, should we really believe that? I would love to play Wolverine next year, but I don't think that that game will enter full production at Insomniac until after Spider-Man 2 goes gold, and since Spider-Man 2 still doesn't have a firm release date attached to it, I don't know when that's going to be. It seems like Insomniac is going to be working on Spider-Man 2 until the absolute last minute, which means Wolverine is likely going to be held back from releasing for at least 2 years. I don't see Insomniac launching Wolverine right after Spider-Man 2, so when could this game be revealed? Well, with how underwhelming the PlayStation Showcase was, there's been a lot of rumors going around that PlayStation held back deliberately so that they could let Spider-Man 2 be the focus and let that game shine, and then after they release Spider-Man 2, that's when they give us another showcase that gives us updates on the games that we're looking forward to, like Wolverine, The Last of Us Factions, Cory Barlog's next project, and so on and so forth. But yeah, guys, that's gonna wrap it up with this video. When do you think we're gonna get Marvel's Wolverine, and where was it? Like, why didn't we get it at the PlayStation Showcase? And do you think that there's gonna be another showcase at the end of the year that finally gives us our first bit of gameplay, or even another teaser for Marvel's Wolverine? Do you think we're gonna get the game next year, or are we gonna have to wait a little bit longer? Let me know down below. Guys, do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel with your notifications turned on, and don't forget to enter the 120,000 subscriber PS5 giveaway. I've got the full details in the pinned comment. And until next time, guys, this has been Wes. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.